what's up? I was going to touch base on a couple of topics I've been thinking about. One, all right. So one of the guys that's a influencer on YouTube. He's a YouTube influencer, and when I say influencer, he's got a really badass coupe. Now, granted, there's lots of Mustangs out there. You know, Mustang hatchbacks, Mustang coupes, but his is his is probably one it stands out a bit. Uh, the thing about that I noticed the most about a lot of influencers is that most of them are white. I said it. Okay. So the thing about the the automotive industry is, and see, this will tie into the second thing I'm going to talk about. Okay, so my man's car is a nice car. I mean, he put money in it. He had it painted. It's got custom wheels on it. It's got a Terminator swap. I mean, his car is badass. I mean, there's just he's thrown a lot of money at it, a lot of time to make the car what it is, and he had his own merch, uh, had his own channel. You know, he would show up at all the shows, the Mustang shows. You know, uh, Ponies and the Smokies, and you know, just any number of Mustang events that these cats would come up with. You know, there's a couple other influencers who actually put on shows, and they sponsor the shows themselves and their merch, and they have booths and that kind of thing. But you know, aside from that, uh, so he doesn't have his channel anymore. Now, I got a good idea why. He has not said yet why, but he can't use the name he was using anymore. Uh, let's be realistic. Anytime we affiliate ourselves with, you know, a brand name, they don't have to go along with it. I mean, we're not paying them because we rep their brand, or we love their brand, or you know, we can get it tattooed on our backs if that's what we want to do, but ultimately it belongs to them. They you know, even if you don't directly use their name, uh, you come up with a moniker, you know, a nickname. There's plenty of nicknames for all kinds of stuff. I mean, for instance, Chevrolet. Even if you didn't say Chevrolet, you said bow tie, everybody knows what you're talking about. They know. It's the bow tie. You know, I don't know what the Dodge guys use because I just don't pay enough attention to that. But you get the gist of it. If they were gonna, you know, refer to themselves as something, or their brand as something, and somebody wanted to start a channel or to come up with their own thing and brand it, and then this is in it, nickname wise, but not necessarily saying this is what it is. Uh, yeah, you it's going to be a topic for discussion. But anyway, he doesn't have he's not doing that anymore. So I think he he got burned a little bit, and no, it's not really fair, and he's probably been doing it for a while, and here they come with this, want to hit you with this. You can't use that anymore. So he's not completely going to abandon, you know, what he likes. You know, he's been repping the Fox body for a long time, but he's gonna go in a different direction. I can't say I blame him. Uh, this train that I'm on has no direction. Uh, I know what I like. I know what I like to work on. So I'll focus on working on what I work on, but this channel ain't about anything specific. Now, granted, we can argue about the blue oval, we can argue about the bow tie, we can argue about the Dodge boys and the Pontiac boys. And you know what? There ain't too many of them. That'll have to be another discussion, because them cats are all to their own, because they don't really make Pontiac cars anymore, and there's very few people that I know that are even running anything like that, unless it's an older car, and you don't really see those unless you're at a car show. Maybe at a drag strip, maybe, but that's another discussion. We're not gonna worry about them right now. But the question at hand is why they're gonna do that guy that way. Okay, if he been repping that brand, and he's got his own thing going, and now suddenly it's that's not kosher anymore. My question is, are they gonna start attacking any of these other cats? You know, Foxcast and Fox Media and this, that, and the other, and anybody that's related to the platform that car is, and they're just obsessed with it. Okay, you got Brood 21 and some of these other ones, and you know they're all about the Fox body. So are they gonna start attacking them too, or is it just him? I was curious to know about that, but kudos to that dude for what he was doing. He's gonna change direction, and you know what? That's all you can do. You can't really let him slow you down or shut you down. My next point is that when you're a minority, and nobody really likes to say that. I mean, I don't look at myself as being a minority. I look at myself as I'm just another car guy. I mean, you walk in here, you don't see a black guy. What you see is a guy obsessed with automobiles, a guy obsessed with muscle cars, because there's plenty of Mustangs over there on that wall. There's a Mustang poster on that wall. There's a Mustang poster on that wall. There's a few Mustang posters over there. I like Mustangs, but I like a lot of different things. This just happens to be Mustang headquarters down here, because I got 3 Mustangs. But if I were to run across a deal on any number of other muscle cars, and it was just something I couldn't pass up, yeah, I'm gonna go that way. But that doesn't mean I'm just gonna be all in on that one car. I like them all. But when you got as many irons in the fire as I have, you can't do that. So we'll just stick with what we got right now. If we're still around in 15, 20 years, and we can run up on a 73 split bumper, I'm all over it. But right now, we'll just work on what we got going out here in the shop here. The next point I was going to touch on is this African American Automotive Association. Yeah, that's a mouthful, ain't it? AAAA. Okay. So I looked into it. It popped up on my Instagram. They're all about promoting African Americans in automotive endeavors, in automotive applications, sports, design. So they're all about inclusion. Okay. If you don't know what inclusion means, now, I'm not finna start using a whole bunch of $15 words on you, although I could, but let's be realistic. This isn't a discussion, and I'm not a politician, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody. So we'll just use layman's terms. All right? So basically, the idea is everybody can participate. Now, I thought everybody could participate anyway, because this isn't something that you have to be inclusive in. If you like cars, you buy a car You you decide what you want to do with that car. So you decide you either want to drag race, you just want to cruise, you want to do car shows. So then you decide the direction you want to build this car in, and then you proceed to throw money at it. You know, at this vision you've got going for this car. So where would you not be included? Now, uh, there are a few things about the racing world some of you probably don't know. Here's one tidbit you probably didn't know, that if you watch any kind of non-NASCAR, now we already know NASCAR is a well-controlled thing. It's pretty controlled. It's run by a family, and everybody knows that they've got a grip on that. That grip ain't coming off, and it's controlled. It's a controlled event. Now, they've let people in, if that's what you want to call it. They've let people in. They say, well, if you can get the license and you can get somebody to let you drive the car, you're in. All right. Danica Patrick got in. Bubba Wallace. The Bubba Wallace thing, that's another thing. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I'll get into the Bubba Wallace thing another time because I have problems with that. As far as who he is and who they say he is. Anyway, back on track. Hot rodding has always been inclusive. If you want to build something, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is. If you can afford to build that car, that's the car you build. If you want to join a group, a club, mind you, a club of individuals who, in fact, are like-minded or like the same car you got, you would join that club, and in that joining that club, you would find people who would possibly even help you build the car. Hey man, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. Hey, I know a guy. There you go. Those types of things. I always thought hot rodding was inclusive. My old man always made it seem like it was inclusive. I never got the idea that it wasn't inclusive. So when I saw this AAA association, and this guy created it, and he was saying that there were discrepancies in motorsports. Okay, well, I don't watch all motorsports, but I did watch the Willie T. Ribbs story. And you know what? You get a different perspective of somebody who's actually in it, and they're telling you how it is inside of it, instead of you on the outside going, hey, I could be a race car driver. Well, this cat's telling you, I was a race car driver, and this is what happened while I was doing it. And you're like, okay, this doesn't look like a whole lot of fun. I mean, I get it. Some people can take the fun out of something just because they don't think you belong there. I'm just saying. But I always thought being a car enthusiast, not a collector, because see, a collector and an enthusiast ain't the same thing. And if people that argue with you and say, "Oh, I'm a collector," okay, how many cars you got? You got more than 10? Yeah, you're a collector. More than 10 of the same thing, or you like to collect different things. I'm not a car collector. I'm an enthusiast. Hence the word enthusiasm. See, when I get to the drag strip, I'm excited before I get there. I'm enthusiastic. The enthusiasm is oozing out of my pores when I get there because I'm so excited. When I get there, I can't stand myself. It really has nothing to do with one car. It's everything there. It's the experience. Being a collector, you gotta have a lot of money, disposable income, and me being a blue collar individual, ain't got a whole lot of disposable income. But what I do dispose of, I make sure I use it well to get what I need to get done. back to the A. Okay, so this cat has come up with this association, and he's trying to enact it to make it all inclusive for people of color. Not that people of color didn't include themselves in things, and in fact, that's not that they include themselves, but they have different ways of doing things. So you go to the drag strip in their areas, they drag race just like everybody else. Although there's a lot of money thrown around and maybe some firearms. I'm not saying that, but anyway, they do what they do. It looks exactly the same. If they want to be included in something, or even if they're not included, they'll create their own situation. But his thing is that if there are avenues of racing that there aren't anybody with tans involved in, he's gonna go over there and say, hey, how come you don't have any tan people racing on your team there? Oh, well, let me just run right out and get some people. Well, you don't have to go out and get anybody, because clearly he has discovered people who have licenses, who are ready to race. Never noticed it. So I started following him because I was curious. I wanted to see what exactly this was about. And he, not that he's not doing a fine job, but didn't at some point, I'm getting up in age. I assumed that you could do what you wanted to. You wanted to be an astronaut? I mean, there's been black astronauts, right? Right? Black people have gone to the moon. Sure. There have been black politicians. Sure. Anything that people of color, or even people who lack color, have decided they wanted to try or to give it a shot, they have done. Well, apparently that isn't quite the case. Here's an example. Now, I'm not sure if it was F1. I'm thinking it was F1. If I'm not sure, I'll go and check my references. But there was one of these racing bodies that did not allow black people to take part in their races until after 1991. Now, to put that in perspective for you, I came out of high school in 1991. I'm 51 years old now. So that tells you how far back that was. Now, granted, when I got out of high school, I just assumed every body of racing you could get into. If you wanted to get in NASCAR, I mean, you had Wendell Scott, right? Wendell Scott. I mean, you've had a few more kind of make a run at it, and they just quite didn't fit where they would fit that niche. So now this fellow has created this association that's creating a niche for anybody that wants to try. I don't know how he's managing to inject people into what areas that they decide they want to go to. I know you got guys that ride dirt bikes. I'm not much into motorcycles, but I know there's guys that ride motocross. More power to you, brother. He's got some tan fellows that enjoy riding motorcycles. Now, granted, there's plenty of brothers that ride motorcycles. You've seen them. You've seen them in DMX videos, Rough Riders, and they can do wheelies. They can do all the things their white counterparts can do. Same tricks, same everything. I guess they would rather just be flashy as opposed to be in competition. Not to say that they couldn't be in competition and win. Some people just choose a different route. But apparently he has found people who are interested in being in motorsports and to broaden its diversity. I personally don't care for the word diversity because I think people are people. But we live in a world where that's not the case. You're not judged by your talent. You're not judged by your enthusiasm or your love for something. And let me just say this about Black History Month. I hate Black History Month. I hate it. Because why has it got to be Black History Month? History is history. There's no White History Month. There's no Indian History Month. There's no French History Month. There's no Albanian History Month. There's no Romanian History Month. There are no other history months that I know of. Isn't their history just plain history? So why wouldn't everybody else's history, including Black history, be just one big ball of history? Of course, you can break it up if you like, but what does that matter? So, being that this AAA has made it to where everybody can be included in racing, and if you want to race, we'll find a spot for you. We'll see if we can find a team that you can join that will welcome you. Hey, you wanna get in a USAC midget? There you go. Not that people don't even know what a USAC midget is, but you want to get into a dirt track car, you want to get into an outlaw car, you want to get into drag racing, you want to go into Top Fuel, you want to go into outlaw drag racing, you want to go into the NHRA, IHRA. Half of these people, if you're an enthusiast, you will know what I'm talking about. Because anything and everything has to do with an automobile, whether it be racing, restoration, collecting, selling, buying, any aspect of the automobile genre, you will have full knowledge of it. If you don't know about it, you don't want to know. You're not interested in it. I just find it interesting that you have to create something so people could jump on board. You could jump on, I thought you could jump on board anyway. I mean, this cat done went to SEMA, and I'm like, well, that's all great that you went to SEMA so everyone could see you walking around with your big tag on, and you're like, I'm representing the AAAA, and we're trying to include people. I thought we were already included. I mean, I guess it depends on where you live. Now, granted, he looks like some guy from a big city. Maybe he's from Detroit. We already know Detroit is the Motor City, and that's where drag racing and Woodward Avenue and all that, if you even know, I assume that everybody watching this channel knows what Woodward Avenue is and what went on there at night. It's not a secret. If you're a car guy, I ain't got to explain that to you. So, I'm gonna keep my eye on it. There's lots of things that I've went to look for that have to deal with motorsports that were not inclusive of people of color, and it was simply because they were people of color and not because they didn't have the license nor the skill. They just were not included, and they were not going to be included. I have found a few bodies of racing that were that way. They are not now. Now, granted, anything that was that way then is not that way now, because there are laws against that you can't tell somebody they can't participate. But the thing about it is now is it has nothing to do with participation. It has to do with money. Cars cost money. Racing costs money. A season of racing costs how much? Exactly. And if you ain't got the money to pay for it, the money to keep your car going, it's just like drag racing. You build a bracket race car. Okay. You pick an index. You build a car to go that index. Eventually, that's going to get boring. If you can run a 10.0, okay, it'll run 10s. It'll run 10s all day, every day, for how many years until you get tired of running 10s? The fun just ain't there anymore. Even if you win, It's not exciting anymore. So next year you got to pump some more money in it. It's all about money. That's the thing. That it was never really about being inclusive. But check this out, and I'll leave you with this one. Mario Andretti. You know who Mario Andretti is, right? All right. Mario Andretti is a legend. Mario Andretti, and his name alone, any of his sons carry the Andretti name, and they've raced. They've been in it. Okay. So Mario Andretti wanted to start his own team. He can afford it. He's a legend. Dude's got money. I mean, it's not like he can't pay for it. So he got rejected by the racing body he approached. And they told him, no, you can't start a team. He even offered to pay $200 million because the other teams complained that if he jumped on board, then he was going to hurt racing and they weren't going to make any money. So he offered up an extra $200 million. Say, hey, I'll pay $200 million up front, just so if anybody's not making any money, then that'll be the penance for me joining. And if I ruin anything, then there you go. They still told him no. They said, no, we don't really think your team would be competitive. They told Mario Andretti no. I was dumbfounded. I'm still dumbfounded. I mean, you know who Mario Andretti is, right? I remember Mario Andretti, and I was too young to even watch Mario Andretti race because Mario started racing in what, the 50s? 40s, 50s? But he had a lengthy racing career, so at some point I jumped on board and I know who Mario Andretti is. But that's just to let you know, even with $200 million, the dude's got more money in there. But he offered $200 million, and they still told him no. And he's Mario Andretti. Does Mario Andretti have to be black to be included? I mean, he's Mario Andretti. He's Italian. I mean, he's not white. I mean, if you just want to call him a color, but he has racing lineage, racing history, legendary. And they told him no. I'm gonna look off into that again. I need a more thorough answer. They gave him one. If I was him, I mean, there's really nothing he can do because he went as high as he could go. And they told him no. There's nowhere else for him to go. They told him no. So only thing he can do is find another racing body to go to. I mean, you got CART. I mean, the dude raced in F1. And F1 tell you no, what can you do? Lewis Hamilton's doing a good job, though. I can say that about him. Now, granted, the AAAA is behind that dude 100%. But the thing is he was already there. You jump behind somebody that was already there. That dude's been there since he was a kid. So, and Bubba Wallace, well, that's another story. Anyway, I'm done talking about that. So, if you're even interested in looking into anything that I've said to you as far as the AAA and all that, you know, I'm not against anything, but I think that in America, our problem is we always want to attach color to something. You can't be just a badass drag racer or a badass motorcycle rider. I mean, Evel Knievel. You think anybody's worried about what color Evel Knievel is? They're not. Because they just say, you ever seen Evel Knievel? And everybody goes, yeah, I seen Evel Knievel because everybody watched it. Nobody cared if he was white. Nobody cared if he was black. All they cared is if he jumped and if he made it, and if he didn't make it, they talked about it either way. But this is America. Everything's got to be white or black. It has to be. There's no way around it. I mean, if we get past it, then we're past it. But somebody's gonna bring it up. Somebody's gonna make it readily apparent that we need to be all inclusive when we were inclusive anyway. At least I thought we were. Maybe I'm wrong. I have to look into it. Anyway, y'all keep between the ditches. I'll holler at y'all another time.